Hi Big Besties, welcome or welcome back to the Lofi Library. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, and this is the cozy little corner of the internet where we talk all things books. Whether you're looking for your next 5-star read, trying to decide whether a popular book is actually worth the hype, or just love chatting about stories with fellow readers, you've definitely come to the right place. And if you're one of my returning book besties, thank you so much for coming back. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you, and I love getting to share my reading journey with this amazing community. So, grab your favourite drink, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's review. Also, this review is completely spoiler-free, so let's dive in. Today we are discussing one of the world's fastest-growing young adult dystopian novels. It is the one and only Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And the truth is, you're probably thinking, what? You've only just read The Hunger Games? Yes, I have. I'm guilty of it, but I'm kind of glad that I waited, to be honest. I went into this book almost completely blind. I knew the basic premise. There were games, and that's it. One of the biggest questions is, was it worth the hype? And for my short answer, yes, 100%. The thing I found with many other dystopian novels was that the world building was very slow. And we were 50 pages in and we were still talking about the politics and the way that this fantasy world worked. But not with the Hunger Games. Suzanne Collins jumped straight in with only having 20 pages or around so of describing the world building, and straight away I could tell that it wasn't the happiest of settings, and I immediately got that from the first few pages. Her description is amazing. Now, this is also my first book review, so please let me know if you'd like me to add anything that I have missed, or if you have any other books that I should read. I would also like to add that this was one of the books that I finished in less than a week. Most books usually take me a month or even longer to finish, no matter how invested I am in them. But not this one. I spent a whole week reading and I finished it straight away. I felt a connection with the characters because of how she is written, the book. And it was honestly amazing to feel this connection. When they were sad, I was sad. When they were happy, I was happy. And the book kept me wanting more. Now, I do have one small aspect of criticism. The start of this book was awfully slow for me. I felt like the world building was a tiny bit slower than I expected. But I am very picky and I like the whole plot of the book in general just to be quick. So that did take me a while to get used to, but as soon as the world building had been settled, this was one of the best books I had ever read. So many people have also asked me my favourite character. And my favourite character, without leaving any spoilers, is Katniss Everdeen. Anyone who doesn't know, she is our main character. She is a strong female role. The book in general was just amazing, and I'm so excited to read Catching Fire next. This world is called Panem, and Suzanne Collins splits up this world into 12 districts, which I found really fun. Now, carrying on. What was the genre? I get asked this question a lot because it is advertised as a young adult dystopian novel, but in my opinion, I think of it as more of a fiction. It has different elements that definitely makes it a dystopian novel, but it also has some small elements of romance without being spicy. And it also has this aspect of a thriller in a way. It's always keeping you on edge, wondering what's going to happen next. Now, I believe that this book is very misunderstood. Most people will think of this as just a violent book. It's children, they're in a game, they have to fight each other and kill each other to then win. But to be honest, it's more than just a game. There's so many different aspects of this book that made me realise what a big blunder I had made, to just assume it was a violent book. As I've already said, you were so connected to the characters and immersed in the storyline that I forgot that I was even in this world. I said, I'll read the 30 minutes, just one more chapter. And that 30 minutes quickly changed into 2 hours. This shows how immersive the book could be and how powerful good writing can end up to be as well. One of the things I loved most about returning to the Hunger Games was just how alive District 12 feels. It's not described as a magical place. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's cold and it's poor. It's worn down by years of hardship, and yet, somehow it still feels like home. Suzanne Collins doesn't spend pages describing every building or every street. Instead, she gives us little details that quietly build the world around Katniss. The smell of coal, the worn-down houses, the woods just beyond the fence, the hub where people trade what they can't afford to buy. It all feels incredibly grounded. As I was reading, I realized that District 12 isn't memorable because it's spectacular. It's memorable because it feels lived in. You can almost imagine waking up there before sunrise, hearing the birds outside, and watching people begin another day of work. Not because they want to, but because they have to. I think that's what makes this story feel so believable. Before we even reach the games, we're already emotionally invested. We understand what Katniss is fighting for. She's not chasing adventure. She's protecting a life that, despite all of its struggles, is still worth living. And I think that's such an important distinction. A lot of dystopian novels focus on the spectacle, the dramatic twists, the action, the shocking reveals. But The Hunger Games starts somewhere much quieter. It begins with a family, a sister, a morning routine, a simple act of hunting in the woods. Those small moments make everything that follows so much more heartbreaking. Because once Katniss leaves District 12, she's not just leaving a place behind. She's leaving the people who make it feel like home. And I think that's something Suzanne Collins does brilliantly throughout the novel. She reminds us that home isn't always perfect. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes it's unfair. But it's still home. By the time the reaping arrives, the tension doesn't come from wondering what will happen. Most of us already know. The tension comes from knowing exactly what Katniss stands to lose. And that's what's pulled me into the story all over again. The games are about more than survival. When people think of the Hunger Games, I think the first thing that comes to mind is the arena itself, the countdown, the cornucopia, the fight to survive. And yes, those scenes are incredibly tense, but what struck me on this reread was that the games weren't really about action at all. They were about performance. Every tribute enters the arena knowing they're being watched. Every decision they make could mean another sponsor, another gift, or another chance at survival. It's almost like survival becomes a performance in itself. Katniss isn't just trying to stay alive. She's trying to convince an audience to care whether she lives or dies. I found that idea surprisingly unsettling. The Capitol has turned something unimaginably cruel to entertainment. The interviews, the costumes, the betting, the commentary. Everything is designed to make the audience forget that these are children. And I think Suzanne Collins handles that idea incredibly well because she never lets us forget what's really happening. Even during the most exciting moments, there's always this feeling that something is deeply wrong. One of my favourite parts of the arena isn't actually the action scene. It's the quieter moments. When Katniss is sitting high in the trees, listening to the sounds of the forest, trying to work out who she can trust, These moments create a different kind of tension. You're constantly waiting for something to happen, but the silence almost becomes more nerve-wracking than the fighting itself. It reminds me that survival just isn't about being stronger than everyone else. Sometimes it's about patience, observation, knowing when to move, and when to stay completely still. And I think that's one of the reasons the arena feels so realistic. It's unpredictable. Just when Katniss starts to feel safe, the game makers might just change the rules. You never know. They could light the forest on fire. They could send tracklejackers. They could do many other things that I won't go into too much detail about. The arena itself almost becomes another character in the story. I personally would give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was really good, gripping, and I finished it in 1 week, which is an achievement for me. The only thing I would say is that the world making is a little bit slow, but I really appreciate how much effort has gone into this book. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this video has helped you decide whether to get The Hunger Games, and in my opinion, it definitely is. So please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications just so you know when I've posted something new. Your support really means the world to me. Thank you so much. Lofi Library.